Vigyan Bhairava Tantra. Reality cannot be divided. Malini Vijaya Uttara Tantra. Once again, reality cannot be divided. Uttara Tantra. And then a quote from one of the pioneers of quantum mechanics, Erwin Schrödinger, whose equation describes every atom in the universe. And here's the quote, I found it. Consciousness is a singular of which the plural is unknown. There is only one thing, and that which seems to be a plurality is merely a series of different aspects of this one thing produced by a deception, the Indian Maya, as in a gallery of mirrors. How beautiful is that? The source is Erwin Schrödinger, an Austrian physicist and Nobel laureate, who was one of the founders of quantum theory. He wrote this quote in his book, My View of the World, 1951, in the chapter entitled The Arithmetic Paradox, the Oneness of Mind. He was influenced by the Vedanta philosophy of non-dualism, which holds that there is only one ultimate reality, Brahman, and that everything else is an illusion or superposition, Maya, the world of illusion. He believed that consciousness was not a property of individual minds, but a universal phenomenon that transcends space and time. Okay, that's Schrödinger, Nobel laureate, Schrödinger's equation, pioneer in quantum mechanics, and his equation, as I said, Schrödinger's equation, the wave function, describes every atom in the universe. So let's do a little contemplative inquiry, even meditation, to actually understand this totally, both objectively and subjectively, and maybe even experience it, okay? And I'm reminded, as before I start, of the other verse from Kashmir Shaivism, meditate on your body as the universe and having the nature of awareness. Okay, so let's start with science, or let's say the scientific model, the current scientific model. So when you were conceived, your father and your mother met, they had a gleam in their eyes, and, something happened. And you began your journey, this lifetime, as a fertilized egg. So that fertilized egg, which had, half the genes from your mother and half the genes from your father, had about 25,000 genes. Once, as I said, half from your mother and half from your father. So a gene is a stretch of DNA that codes for a protein. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. But a gene is a stretch of DNA, base pairs as they're called, deoxyribonucleic acid, ATCG, or the alphabet, and a stretch of it codes for a protein. Metaphorically speaking, let's call that the word that becomes the flesh, protein. The word is this sequence of genes. It becomes the flesh, metaphorically speaking. Genes, in turn, are made of course, we just said DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid, 4 bases, adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine. So that's the alphabet of life, ATCG. ATCG becomes genes, stretches of DNA that code for proteins, and that's how life begins. Proteins also are enzymes, are converted to carbohydrates, fat, and everything else in your body, ultimately the entire body. Okay, eyes, nose, genitalia, fingernails, brain, you name it, heart, got all coming from that double-stranded, double helix, which has these four bases, chemical bases: adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine. So where did those? What are those made of? What are those bases, those chemicals made of? Well, they're made of common elements: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. That's 96% of everything in your body anyway. And the rest of the minerals that make up your body, everything from calcium to phosphorus to oxygen, is actually also part of your body, about 4%. Okay, so where did these elements come from? Well, it seems hydrogen and helium were created right in the beginning, a little after the Big Bang. And then the other elements that are in your body right now were manufactured in the crucible of burning stars. And some astrophysicists go on to say that only 50% of those atoms or elements are from the Milky Way galaxy. There are 2 trillion galaxies, and 50% of the atoms in your body may have actually come into your body from other galaxies. 2 trillion galaxies. So who knows which other galaxies, but 50% of the atoms in your body may be from beyond the Milky Way galaxy, sucked into our galaxy and solar system by something called gravitational wind. Okay, so the atoms in your body, the elements, come from the universe and its beginnings. Now, when your genes have created are now part of the fertilized egg, then that one cell, the original cell, the pluripotential cell, it starts to multiply, and in about 50 replications, there's a baby. And this baby has maybe 50, 60 trillion cells, which is more than all the stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Okay, that one cell, which contained these elements and everything, the alphabet, the word, your body is a story of the universe. And even in the 9 months of human gestation, the cell replicates almost all of life. Most of your genes are also found in bacteria. 65% of your genes are the same as a banana, something like that. 75-80% the same as a fruit fly, 80% the same as a mouse, and 99% almost the same as a primate. And then you and me, and computers and technology and AI and spaceships and rockets and everything that we call today's world, nuclear weapons, cyber warfare, everything is our creation. And it is part, I guess, of the evolution of the universe. So objectively speaking, you are the universe, literally, but in motion, because the universe is also transforming from moment to moment. And you, as a body-mind, are also transforming from moment to moment. And basically, you can say this, and this is an observation deck for the universe to experience itself in evolution at this moment. This is the observation deck. The universe is experiencing itself as all of what you can see. Right now I'm in Honolulu. I can see the beach and I can see the sky and all of that. And that's the universe looking at itself through this in a particularly unique way at this moment. Okay, so now that's the objective universe in you as a holo movement. But how do we know this? How do we know all this? Well, you said through science, mathematics, technology. So who created that? We did, right? We created all the science, technology, the scientific constructs. We gave names to modes of experience and knowing, and we call those modes of knowing and experience atoms, molecules, particles, force fields, gravity. We gave them those names. But first, we had an experience. And how did we have that experience? Well, through our perceptual activity and our cognitive understanding of that perceptual activity. But that perceptual activity was also a very limited band of the electromagnetic spectrum. Nevertheless, it gave us access to certain modes of knowing and experience. And then, based on that, and what were those modes of knowing and experience? They were modalities of sensation, modalities of awareness, fluctuations of awareness as sensations, sense perceptions, images, feelings, thoughts, emotions, and then interpretations, and then models, both the mathematical, physical, and on, biological models, all created by ourself. But what we call the universe with everything in it. And let me show you a little bit of what the universe I'm experiencing now. The universe I'm experiencing right now, all of that is a combination of sense perceptions, images, feelings, and thoughts. Is it the real universe? No, it's a very narrow band of perceptual activity through the reducing valve that we call the body and brain, and then our five senses and how we interpret them, and basically the alchemy of sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, modalities of awareness, fluctuations of awareness, and interpretations in awareness. Okay, so subjectively, doesn't matter how big the dreamscape is, and Schrodinger, in fact, the pioneer of quantum physics, said only one ultimate reality and everything else is an illusion. So that includes 2 trillion galaxies, starscapes, all of that is part of the dreamscape in this fictional character, which is also part of the dreamscape. The only reality is the unfathomable, infinite, formless, fundamental, irreducible, shapeless, infinite, formless, dimensionless, infinite being. So, both subjectively and objectively, there's no escaping the conclusion that you are the hollow movement of the universe, and what we see as each other at this moment is a snapshot in that movement of the universe as it begins to experience itself and then continues to experience itself through species-specific biological apparatuses that we call persons and animals. So, the fact that we call each other persons is very misleading because there's no such thing. The person is just the universal identifying itself with a limited set of experiences, creating a changing provisional identity. And you're not that. You're that which is modifying itself into changing provisional identities that experience the changing universe based on their identity. So based on your limited identity, you experience the limited universe. But behind this magic show, you are the infinite being experiencing itself as infinite forms and phenomena, and therefore as infinite universes. Well, how mind-boggling is that? And why is it important? It's important because then, when we see the magnificence of creation and see the magnificence of our own being, then mundane, banal things don't bother us. We dissociate ourselves from the pornography of the mundane, the banal, the irrelevant. And having dissociated ourselves from the pornography of the banal, we have access to magnificence and joy and wonder and curiosity and timeless reality and fundamental truth. And we realize we are that. We are that. We are that. We are the infinite being experiencing itself in infinite ways from infinite points of view, and yet our fundamental existence is beyond all these experiences, beyond all these theaters of space-time and causality, understanding ourselves as divine beings and participating in the evolution of the universe as innumerable infinite experiences through innumerable biological organisms, which are basically instruments of observation, instruments of qualia production, and they're temporary, and the body-mind is temporary, and it moves on, evolves, timelessly recycles old information, and then generates new information and new data and new experiences. Something generative AI is attempting to do but never will be able to do, because generative AI only represents our limited biases based on our limited perceptual experiences and how we extend them through instruments which are also created by us. You can't get away from the fact that you are the universe. Aham Brahmasmi.